The evening bus swayed gently through the quiet streets of downtown, its warm yellow lights casting a soft glow over the tired passengers. Sarah shifted her sleeping 8-month-old son Tommy in her arms, trying to find a more comfortable position on the worn fabric seat. Her back ached from another long day of double shifts at the diner, and her eyelids felt heavy with exhaustion. She glanced at her watch through tired eyes. 7:30. By the time she got home to their small apartment, fed Tommy his dinner, and got him ready for bed, it would be past 9. Then she still had laundry to fold, bills to sort through, and somehow find the energy to prepare for another early morning shift. The bus made its familiar stops, picking up and dropping off the evening commuters. Sarah watched through the window as people hurried along the sidewalks, bundled in their coats against the autumn chill. Everyone seemed to have somewhere important to go, someone waiting for them at home. At the next stop, a man in an expensive navy suit stepped aboard. Even in her exhausted state, Sarah noticed how different he looked from the usual bus passengers. His clothes were perfectly pressed, his dark hair neatly styled, and he carried himself with the quiet confidence of someone accustomed to success. He could have easily afforded a taxi or a private car, yet here he was, taking the same city bus as everyone else. The man's eyes swept the bus, looking for an empty seat. Most were occupied by the evening crowd. His gaze landed on the empty space beside Sarah, and he approached with a polite smile. "Excuse me," he said softly, his voice warm and considerate. "Would it be all right if I sat here?" Sarah nodded, shifting Tommy slightly to make more room. "Of course," she whispered, trying not to wake her son. The stranger settled beside her with careful movements, clearly aware of the sleeping baby. Sarah couldn't help but notice the subtle scent of his cologne, clean and expensive, so different from the usual bus atmosphere of coffee and tired commuters. As the bus continued its route, Sarah found herself fighting against the pull of sleep. The gentle rocking motion, combined with her complete exhaustion, made her eyelids impossibly heavy. She tried to sit up straighter to stay alert, but her body betrayed her fatigue. Her head began to nod forward, then jerk back up as she caught herself falling asleep. She was mortified at the thought of bothering the well-dressed stranger beside her. The last thing she wanted was to embarrass herself in front of someone who so clearly had his life together. But exhaustion is a powerful force, and despite her best efforts, Sarah's consciousness began to slip away. Her head tilted to the side, coming to rest against something warm and solid. In her sleep-hazed state, she was dimly aware of a gentle hand adjusting her position, making sure Tommy was secure in her arms. The man beside her, whose name was Marcus, looked down at the young mother who had unconsciously leaned against his shoulder. He had noticed her struggling to stay awake, had seen the deep circles under her eyes, and the way she held her baby with the protective instinct of someone who had no one else to rely on. Marcus had built his company from nothing, working 18-hour days and sacrificing everything for success. But sitting there on the bus, with this exhausted mother and her peaceful baby, he felt something he hadn't experienced in years. A sense of purpose that had nothing to do with profit margins or board meetings. He remained perfectly still, not wanting to disturb Sarah's much-needed rest. Through the bus window, he watched the city pass by, thinking about his own journey from a struggling college student taking night buses across town to the CEO of a successful tech company. 20 minutes passed in comfortable silence. Tommy stirred, once in his mother's arms, and Marcus instinctively reached out to steady the baby, ensuring he remained secure. The small gesture felt more meaningful than any business deal he had closed that day. As the bus approached Sarah's stop, Marcus gently placed his hand on her arm. "Miss," he said quietly, "I think this might be your stop." Sarah's eyes fluttered open, and for a moment she was completely disoriented. The realization that she had been sleeping on a stranger's shoulder hit her like a wave of embarrassment. Her cheeks flushed deep red as she quickly straightened up. "Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry," she stammered, adjusting Tommy in her arms. "I didn't mean to." I'm usually not. I'm so embarrassed. Marcus smiled kindly. Please don't apologize. You looked like you needed the rest. He paused, studying her tired face with genuine concern. This is your stop, isn't it? Sarah nodded, gathering her things quickly. As she stood to leave, she noticed something tucked into Tommy's blanket. A business card. But when she looked at it more closely, she saw it wasn't just any business card. Written on the back in neat handwriting was a message that made her breath catch in her throat. You're doing an incredible job. Every mother deserves support. Call me if you ever need anything. A job, childcare help, or just someone to talk to. You're not alone. Marcus Chen, CEO, Chen Technologies. Below the message was a phone number and an address. Sarah looked up, but Marcus was already stepping off the bus at his own stop. Through the window, she watched him disappear into the evening crowd. This mysterious stranger who had shown her more kindness in 30 minutes than she had experienced in months. Standing on the sidewalk with Tommy in her arms, Sarah read the message again. She had heard of Chen Technologies, knew it was one of the city's most successful companies. But more than that, she felt the sincerity in his written words, the genuine offer of help from someone who had seen her struggle and chose to care. For the first time in months, Sarah didn't feel quite so alone. The weight of single motherhood, of endless bills and sleepless nights, seemed just a little lighter. Sometimes, she realized, kindness comes from the most unexpected places, in the most ordinary moments. As she walked toward her apartment building, Tommy sleeping peacefully in her arms, Sarah carefully tucked the business card into her pocket. She didn't know if she would ever have the courage to call, but knowing that someone had seen her, really seen her, and offered help without expecting anything in return, filled her heart with a warmth she hadn't felt in a very long time. The evening air was cool against her face, but Sarah felt warmer than she had in months. Sometimes the most beautiful human connections happen in the simplest moments, between strangers who choose to be kind.